I'll just press record. Excellent. So, welcome to Wednesday evening yoga. Come and take a seat onto your mat. Finding a nice easy seat. Coming into our Sukhasana, crossing through the legs. If it feels any discomfort through the knees, slip a block or a pillow underneath the hips. Help raising the hips, helps take the pressure off the knees. So sitting in our nice easy seat, finding some ease in the seat, just looking for some relaxation through the shoulders, through the neck, and just gently closing our eyes, resting our hands on our knees or our lap, wherever feels comfortable. And just taking a few moments here just to leave behind your day, forget about your worries and your cares, and just take your presence and your awareness onto your mat, becoming mindful, checking in, listening to the body, listening to the breath. Beginning to take nice long inhales through the nose and nice long exhales through the nose. Smoothing out that breath, making the exhale as long as the inhale. Breathing nice and fully, really filling up the lungs. And then as you exhale, completely emptying the lungs, making space and making way for new fresh air to come into the body. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, keeping the mouth gently closed to help seal in the energy for our practice. Taking the awareness to the breath and being mindful of the breath all the way through the practice, remembering that breath, nice, even, smooth breath, using the breath to help guide and support the practice. Thinking about those seat bones grinding down into the earth. Feeling the connection to the earth through the seat bones, lifting up through that spine, sitting up nice and tall, finding that length all the way through the spine. Taking the shoulders and rolling the shoulders back and down. Taking the shoulders away from the ears, nice long neck. Taking the head and just gently resting the head on top of the spine, coming into a nice neutral position with the head. Breathing in nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, engaging through that Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, engaging through the Uddiyana Bandha, pulling that navel in and up, being mindful of our bandhas throughout our practice, using our bandhas to help support our practice. And then from here, moving through to our pranayama exercise, just to really help focus the mind and bring our awareness onto the mat. Going with the Nadi Shodhana breathing tonight, sometimes called alternate nostril breathing or horseshoe breath. So taking your right hand and placing your right thumb on your right nostril, placing the index finger and the middle finger on your third eye, and placing the ring finger on the left nostril. And then taking a nice deep inhale through both nostrils to begin. And then gently closing off the right and exhaling only through that left nostril. Inhaling through the left. Gently closing the left off and then exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. Exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And then letting go, exhaling through both nostrils. And returning to that nice long inhale, that nice long exhale. Taking a moment to check in, noticing how calm and centered the mind feels, how calm and stress-free the body is starting to feel. Alternate nostril breathing is really good for balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So if you feel a little bit off kilter in the day, just come back to that alternate nostril breathing. Should really help balance things up. And then from here, gently opening your eyes, taking your awareness back into the room. Inhaling, taking both arms and reaching the hands all the way up to the sky. As you exhale, taking that right hand down to the right side, that left arm up and over that left ear. And feeling that stretch and that opening through that left side of the body. Drishti can be the left thumb, or it can be down to the right thumb, whichever feels better for you here. Just feeling the stretch all the way through that left side of the body. And then inhaling, coming all the way back to the center. Exhaling, taking that left hand to that left side, that right hand up over that right ear. And exhaling and inhaling here, feeling the stretch through that right side of the body. Again, drishti can be up or down, wherever feels good for you through the neck here. Stay and enjoy the stretch. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, taking that right hand back down. And then from here, coming over onto all fours, coming into our tabletop position. And then from our tabletop position, just checking that the hands are underneath the shoulders and that the knees are underneath the hips. Setting up for our cat-cow. So as you inhale, moving through our cow, so you're going to drop the belly, lift the head and lift the tailbone. And then as you exhale, coming through the cat, reversing the movement. So you can lift up through the belly, dropping the head and dropping the tailbone. So inhaling, coming through into cow. Exhaling, coming all the way through into cat. So in your own time, in your own breath, just moving with this cat-cow movement. Taking the spine in one direction, then taking the spine in the other direction, just warming all the way up along that spine, engaging all the muscles along the spinal column, moving with the breath. And then coming all the way back to the center. Inhaling, picking up that left leg and that right arm and stretching opposite arm and opposite leg. Taking the arm all the way out to the front, the leg all the way to the back. And trying to keep the hips squared off to the mat here, keeping the hips facing towards the mat. Not letting that left hip hike up, but keeping it squared off. And just feeling that lengthening through the limbs, that lengthening through the torso, remembering the inhales and the exhales. Looking for that extension all the way along the muscles in the back. And then gently release, coming back to center. And we'll repeat on the other side. Inhaling, lifting up through that left arm and that left leg. And holding here and feeling the extension, the lengthening through the limbs. That lengthening all the way along the back. Breathing in and out. Again, squaring the hips off, not letting that right hip ride up. Trying to keep it squared off parallel to the left. And then gently release, coming back to the center. And then from here, take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale. And then inhaling, curling through the toes, taking the hips over the heels. And as you exhale, pushing yourself up into a nice, easy downward facing dog. Keeping a bend through the knees here, keeping everything nice and soft and everything nice and easy. Start to walk and pedal your feet. So walking your dog, pedaling your dog, taking a range of movement through the feet, through the ankles, all the way up through the legs, just warming everything up here. Breathing nice and deeply, trying to let the tension go from the shoulders, from the neck, keeping that core lifted and engaged. Breathing nice and deeply. And then from here, taking a deeper bend through both knees, stepping that left leg, left foot up behind that left hand, that right foot behind that right hand, keeping that bend through the knees, come into a nice easy forward fold. Again, looking for a release of tension through the neck and the shoulders. Really trying to find a release here, letting go of that tension that's built up through the day, sitting in front of computer screens, hunched over mobile phones. And then taking your hands and clasping opposite elbows, coming into our ragdoll. And holding here in the ragdoll, maybe feeling a bit of a deeper stretch through the backs of the legs, but keeping that bend through the knees. And then from here, gently swinging from side to side if it feels good for you. Checking in with the body, doing a quick body scan. Is there anywhere that you're holding any tension where you can just come that little bit easier? Take some breath into some joints, into some of those muscles, just moving everything, keeping everything nice and easy, everything nice and soft. If we can encourage the body to relax and ease into poses, we're less likely to injure ourselves. And we can get deeper into the postures if we can just ease into them, remembering no stress, no strain. And then from here, letting go of the elbows, taking a deep bend through the knees. Start to uncurl through the spine, coming up vertebra by vertebra, stacking one vertebra on top of the other, just gently making your way all the way up to standing, nice and slowly. There's no rush here. Just coming all the way up, setting up for our mountain pose. So the mountain pose, your feet should be roughly about a hip width distance apart. All four corners of the feet are rooted down into the earth. Soft bend through the knees here, just keeping everything nice and soft. Pulling in that navel, pulling in that pelvic floor, taking the shoulders and rolling the shoulders back down the back. Trying to avoid any of the hunching up that we do generally, taking the shoulders up to our ears. Trying to encourage the shoulders to drop away from the ears. And then from here, inhaling, as you inhale, lifting the hands and taking the hands all the way up through the midline of the body, taking the hands all the way up to the sky, reaching all the way up to the sky with the hands, feeling that lengthening through the ribs. And then exhaling, coming through into a nice, easy forward fold, taking a deep bend through both knees as you come into that forward fold. Inhaling, taking a step back with that right leg, dropping that right knee down onto the mat, letting go of those right toes, and coming here and holding here just for a few breaths, starting to feel a little bit of an opening through that right hip flexor. If it feels better, you can gently move in and out of that stretch, maybe taking some dynamic movement here if that feels good for you. If you need this just to warm up nice and gently through that hip flexor, then that's fine too. You can just hold here. And just move with the breath, moving backwards and forwards, just encouraging the body to release. Well done. And then from here, picking up that left knee, taking the left knee back parallel to the right knee, and then sitting back over your heels on the exhale, coming into our child's pose. And just take a nice deep inhale here and a nice long exhale, remembering if there's any discomfort having the arms straight out, you can take a slight bend through the elbows, or you can take the arms behind you while we're holding child's pose. It's your practice, it's your yoga journey, only come wherever feels good for you. And then inhaling, taking yourself forward and starting to take yourself all the way forward to lying face down on the mat. Taking the hands out just a little bit wider than the mat, coming up onto your gecko fingers. Inhaling, coming up just a little bit with the chest off the mat. and coming into a waving cobra here. So just wave from side to side in your cobra. Remembering to breathe nice and deeply, just waving however feels good for you, opening up through the back, through the shoulders, through that neck. Just looking for a release of tension. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming all the way back down to center. Taking the hands underneath your chest, just where your shoulders are, and then inhaling, lifting up into that tabletop, exhaling, coming all the way back into that child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale. And then inhaling, lifting up into the tabletop. At the same time, picking up that right leg and taking that right foot forward in between the hands at the front of the mat. And feeling an opening up through the left hip flexor here. So you can hold here for a few breaths. If it feels good for you and you prefer to move dynamically, you can just come in and out of the stretch dynamically, however feels good for you. Just encouraging again a release through the hips, remembering to let the shoulders fall away from the ears, keeping that navel in and up. And then holding here just for a moment, and then inhaling, coming up onto that left toes, and then picking up that left foot and taking that left foot forward to meet the right, taking the feet about a hip width distance apart, parallel to one another. Engaging through that core and keeping that core engaged, but keeping a bend through the knees, coming into a nice easy forward fold here. And just holding here just for a few breaths, looking for some tension, a release of tension through the neck and the shoulders. So taking some nice, easy, gentle yes, no movements through the neck. Maybe taking some nice, easy neck circles. Noticing how easier it is, or how much easier it is to take those gentle neck movements, head movements, when you actually have your head hanging down rather than when you're sitting up. It's actually much easier, much better for the neck to do this. Get a better range of movement, and it just feels much nicer. And then taking a deep bend through the knees as though you're about to sit in a chair. Inhaling, taking the arms in line with the ears, and then lifting yourself up, using that core, reaching all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, taking your hands to your heart center. Samastitihi. Well done, everybody. So repeat on the left-hand side. So inhaling, taking the arms all the way up through the midline of the body. Exhaling, coming down through into a nice, easy forward fold, bending through the knees. Inhaling, taking a step back with that left leg, dropping down onto the left knee, letting go of the left toes, and holding here and feeling the opening now again through that left hip flexor. Just breathing into that left hip flexor. If it feels good for you, on the next inhale, you can start to lift the arms up and take the arms up over your head. Feeling the opening and the stretch all the way through that front line of the body. And then exhaling, taking the hands back outside that front right foot. And inhaling, picking up that right knee, taking it back to meet the left. And then exhaling, sitting all the way back into our child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale. A nice long exhale. And then inhaling, coming all the way forward through that tabletop and waving the spine and coming down to lie face down on the mat again. Taking the hands just underneath the shoulders here. Moving through a baby bhujangasana or a baby cobra, or then coming to wherever feels good for you, because we were just gently warming up the spine. So inhaling, taking the chest up off the floor and just coming up through that baby cobra. Trying to use the back to lift up rather than the hands. And then exhaling, coming all the way back down to center. And again, inhaling, lifting up, using the core and the back to lift you up. And then exhaling, coming all the way back down to center. And then one more time, inhaling, lifting up, engaging through the core and the back. And then exhaling, coming back to center. And then inhaling, lifting yourself up, using that core, coming all the way through into the tabletop. Exhaling, coming all the way back into the child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale. A nice long exhale. And then inhaling, coming all the way through into a tabletop. And at the same time, picking up that left knee. And then taking that left foot forward in between your hands at the front of the mat. And coming into a low lunge through that right side. So feeling the opening up through that right hip flexor. But only ever coming to your own degree here. Remembering it's your practice. Only ever coming to your own edge. Taking the shoulders away from the ears. Engaging through the navel. Inhaling and exhaling, and then on the next inhale, lifting yourself up and taking the hands all the way up to the sky and feeling the opening and the stretch through the front of the body. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, opening the heart all the way up to the sky. And then exhaling, taking the hands back outside that front left leg. Coming onto the toes of that back right foot on the inhale, and then on the exhale, taking a step forward with that right foot, feet parallel, coming into that forward fold. And holding in the forward fold again, trying to keep the shoulders away from the ears, and keeping that navel in and up, creating space to allow you to get the chest more onto the thighs. Inhaling and exhaling. And then taking the hips back as though you're about to sit in a chair, taking the arms up in line with the ears, and then inhaling, lifting yourself all the way up, engaging through that core, straightening all the way up to the sky, exhaling, taking your hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. Well done, everybody. So from here, just coming through some gentle swings, just to again, just encourage the body to let go and release. So take a slight bend through the knees, just start to swing the arms. That was my ankle cracking, I think. Swing the arms just from side to side. When your bones crack, it's actually a good sign. It's just letting, releasing air from the joints. So it's actually quite good to have your bones cracking. So nothing to worry too much about. So just gently swinging from side to side, just feeling the release of the tension through the shoulders, through the neck, through the hips. Just encouraging the body again to let go of any tension it may be holding, knowing that when we become a stress-free zone, it becomes so much easier just to ease into the poses. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center. Setting up for our Surya Namaskara A, you can start to take your feet together if that feels better for you, but if it's if you're new to yoga, any issues with your lower back, then take your feet hip width apart. So from here, inhaling, and this time as you inhale, taking the arms outside the body, lifting the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming through into that forward fold. And as you forward fold, you can start to straighten out the legs if it feels good for you. But if it doesn't feel good for you and you need to bend through the knees, then that's absolutely fine too. Straight legs come in time. Inhaling, coming halfway up into our L shape, taking our hands onto our shins, elongating along the spine, nice long flat back. Exhaling, coming all the way forward into that forward fold. Inhaling, taking a step back with the one foot and take a step back with the other foot. And on the exhale, pushing yourself down into your downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale in our dog and a nice long exhale. Remembering if it doesn't feel good to be in a down dog, you can do these moves from your tabletop position. That's absolutely fine too. So inhaling, lifting up that right leg, taking that right leg all the way up to the sky. And then bending through that right knee, taking that right heel behind you, trying to get that right heel more towards that left shoulder. Suddenly setting yourself that intention just to open up through the hips. Breathing here nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release. Taking that right leg all the way back up, straightening out through that right leg, and then pulling that right knee all the way into the chest, hugging that right knee to the chest, and then dropping that right foot in between your hands at the front of the mat, setting up for our lunge. Take that right foot more over towards the right thumb, and come onto the toes of that back left foot. So you want about a hip width distance between your feet here in terms of the width of the mat, just so you've got a nice stable base for our lunge. Taking a An inhale, lengthening out through that spine, a nice long spine. As you exhale, taking a soft bend through that back knee, engaging through the core and using that core to help lift you as you lift all the way up and come up into our high lunge, sometimes called crescent lunge or runner's lunge. And just hold here for a moment, getting your balance, making sure you're nice and stable. If you need to widen the feet slightly to find that balance, then that's absolutely fine too. And then from here, moving through some dynamic lunges. So inhaling, as you inhale, taking the arms all the way up to the sky, straightening out through both legs. As you exhale, coming down into the lunge. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And each time you come down through that lunge, try to come that little bit deeper through that leg. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, remembering the breath all the way through. Remembering our bandhas, that navel lifted, that pelvic floor engaged, and those shoulders away from the ears. And then this last time, just holding here in our lunge. Breathing and inhaling and exhaling. And then taking the hands outside that front right foot, and then dropping down onto that back left knee, letting go of those back left toes. Taking that right hand inside the right foot. Start to walk that right foot forward of that right hand. And at the same time, start to point that right foot into the far right corner of your mat. So you should start to feel an opening up through the right hip here. Holding here, keeping that navel in and up, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And just enjoying the stretch here and the opening through that right hip. If this is where you want to stay, then that's fine. Just stay here and enjoying that stretch. Remembering it's your practice, it's your journey. Only ever come wherever your own edge is. If you want more, you can start to come down onto your forearms and rest on your forearms and feel a bit of a deeper stretch going on through that right hip. Just breathing nice and deeply here, exhaling nice and slowly, maybe taking a gentle release through the neck and the shoulders. Remembering that we're looking to just ease into these poses. No stress, no strain. And then, if you were on your forearms, gently come up onto your hands. And then taking that right hand back outside that right foot, start to take that right foot back more in towards the center of your mats. And then from here, taking both hands outside that right foot, coming onto the toes of that back left foot, and then turning that back left foot around so that it's onto the sole of the foot, turning in about a 45-degree angle. Checking that your heels are roughly in alignment here. Keeping that bend through that front knee, lifting up through the core, and then taking yourself all the way up, setting up for our warrior two. So holding in our warrior two here, trying to square off the hips, trying to square off the shoulders to the long side of the mat. Arms are at shoulder height, pelvic floor is engaged, tummy is engaged. Moving through our dynamic warrior. Inhaling, taking the hands all the way up, straightening out through that front leg. Exhaling, coming back into the warrior two. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, coming back into warrior two. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Again, noticing how when you come down that little bit further, that little bit deeper through that right knee. And then holding here in the warrior two, feeling the strength and the engagement through the shoulders. Breathing nice and deeply. And then taking that right arm, placing on the right thigh, left arm up over that left ear. Coming into Parsvakonasana, our extended side angle pose. Breathing in, feeling that stretch all the way through the left fingertips as you root down to the earth through that back left foot. Keeping equal weight through both feet if you can. Inhaling and exhaling. And then inhaling, taking that left arm all the way up, taking that right arm and taking the arms all the way up to shoulder height, starting to straighten out through that front right leg, setting up for our Trikonasana, our triangle pose. So from here, inhaling and inhaling as you inhale, taking that right arm all the way over to that right side. As you exhale, start to windmill that right hand inside that right leg, as you take that left arm all the way up to the sky, coming into Trikonasana, our triangle pose. So again, both feet are equally weighted down into the earth. Lifting, engaging through that pelvic floor, lifting that left hand all the way up to the sky. The drishti can be the left thumb if you have your balance. If you don't have your balance, take your drishti down to the floor. That's absolutely fine. Wherever you can stay balanced here, stay with that pose. And then inhaling, coming all the way back up to the center. Exhaling, taking your hands onto your waist. Setting up for our half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Can't say that, Ardha Chandrasana. There we go. So from here, taking that back foot slightly in towards the right foot. And then start to taking the weight over and into that right foot. And as you do so, lifting up through that back left leg. Remember, you can do this with a chair or a sofa or against the wall if that feels better for you. Taking that right hand down towards the earth and maybe coming to rest on those right fingertips just for a moment as you take that left hand up towards the sky. So the left foot and the left hand are up towards the sky as you're opening the hips up towards the sky, opening the chest up towards the sky. And you can hold here, balancing on your fingertips if that feels good for you. If you want to try the balance with taking your fingertips away from the earth, finding a drishti point for the gaze, getting that balance, and then just gently starting to lift up those right fingertips off the mats. Inhaling and exhaling, holding the balance, feeling the strength through that right leg. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center. Well done, guys. Taking the feet roughly about a leg's distance apart in terms of the width of the mat. The length of the mat, should I say, and turning the toes out so that both toes are pointing out into the corners of the mat, setting up for some dynamic goddesses here today. So inhaling, as you inhale, lifting the arms up and straighten the arms up towards the sky, and then straightening out through the legs. As you exhale, bending through the legs, swinging the arms around, and then coming through into our goddess. And then again, reaching in and then taking your arms all the way up, straightening out through the legs and the arms. Exhaling, coming, setting up for our goddess. And then one more time, inhaling, stretching up, just keeping everything nice and easy, everything nice and fluid, moving nice and gently. Noticing how we come that little bit deeper every time we take some dynamic movement through our poses. And then gently release, coming back to the center, taking the hands onto the waist. Swiveling around now, so taking that right foot back around. So we're now starting to face towards the other side of the mat. So our left foot's forward and our right foot's behind us. Taking our hands outside that front left foot, coming onto the toes of that back right foot. Inhaling, lifting up that left knee and hugging that left knee into the chest. And then stepping it back, coming back into our downward facing dog. Remembering if down dog's not for you, you can come into tabletop position here. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then from here, lifting up that left leg, taking that left leg all the way up to the sky into that three-legged dog. And then bending through that left knee, opening up through that left hip, having the intention of getting that left heel towards that right shoulder. Remembering again, this can be done in tabletop if the down dog's not for you. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. Feeling that opening up through that left hip. And then taking the left leg all the way back up to the sky. And then gently taking that left knee in towards your chest. And then dropping that left foot in between your hands at the front of the mat. Dropping down onto that back right knee, letting go of the right toes. Taking the left hand inside the left foot. Walking that left foot forward of that left hand, and then also taking that left foot out towards the top left-hand corner of the mat, setting up for our hip opening here. So you can stay here. This is where you feel the opening and the gentle release and stretch through that left hip. Stay here and enjoy the stretch if this is where your edge is. If you would like more, then you come down onto your forearms and deepen the stretch through that left hip. But only come wherever feels good for you. Again, letting go of tension through the neck and the shoulders. just encouraging the whole body to release. And then from here, taking the hands back up, coming back up into the hands if you were in the forearms. And then taking that left leg more in towards that left hand, and then taking the left hand back outside that left foot, and taking that left foot in, more into the center of the mat. And then coming up onto the toes of that back right foot, and then swiveling that right foot around, so you're coming onto the sole of the right foot, checking that your heels are roughly in alignment here, turning those back toes in slightly to about a 45-degree angle. Inhaling, and as you inhale, taking a bend through that right knee, lifting yourself up and coming all the way up through into our warrior two on the left-hand side. So again, just double checking that your alignment's okay, so your heels are roughly in alignment here. And then taking the shoulders away from the ears, taking a bend through that left knee. Drishti is the left middle finger. Opening up through the shoulders, opening up through the hips, squaring everything off to that long side of the mat. And then inhaling, as you inhale, lifting up, coming through dynamic warrior. Exhaling, coming back into warrior. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, coming back down. So inhaling, lifting the arms up, straightening out through that left leg. Exhaling, bending back through that left leg, dropping the arms to shoulder height. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, back into warrior two. Inhaling, reaching up, and then holding in our warrior two pose. Feeling the opening through the hips, the opening through the chest. And then taking that left arm onto that left thigh, taking that right arm up and over that right ear. Again, equal weight through both feet here, both feet equally weighted and grounded into the earth. Feeling that lengthening, that stretching all through the right side of the body. Right fingertips reaching to the sky, left foot grounding down into the earth. And then inhaling, lifting yourself back up, and then straightening out through that front leg. Taking the arms up to shoulder height, setting up for our Trikonasana on the left-hand side. If you have any knee issues, then I'd recommend you keep a soft bend through that front knee. If you have a tendency to overextend or over-straighten through that front knee, again, keep a soft bend, just to protect the knee joints. So from here, inhaling, taking that left hand all the way forward, and then wimmling that left hand on the exhale down inside that left leg. So you take that right hand up towards the sky. Inhaling and exhaling here. Rooting down through all four corners of both feet, feeling that connection to the earth. And then lifting all the way up to the sky through that right hand. Feeling that stretch all the way down that right side of the body. Inhaling and exhaling, pelvic floor lifted and engaged. Navel in and up, shoulders away from the ears. And then inhaling, coming all the way back up to the center. Exhaling, taking your hands onto your waist. And then start to walk that back right leg in slightly as we set up for our half moon on this side. So rooting down into the earth through that left leg, And then starting to take your weight forward into that left leg, and then tipping up, coming up and taking that right leg back off the mat. And at the same time, taking that left hand down onto the mat so you can get your balance to begin with as you take that right arm up towards the sky. So opening up through the hips, opening up through the chest. Remember, you can use a wall or a chair here if that feels better for you, more safe and secure. And work towards the balancing pose. Once you have your drishti, once you have your balance, you can start to lift up that left hand and balancing through, only resting on that left leg. And then release, coming all the way back to the center. Well done, everybody. So taking the feet about a leg distance apart, just coming through a nice, easy forward and waving motion here, just waving through the shoulders, through the legs. Again, just keeping everything nice and easy, everything nice and fluid and mobile. Just encouraging that body to stay tension-free, stress-free, keeping everything nice and relaxed. And then when you're ready, start to make your way over towards that left side. Coming over onto that left side, bending through that left knee. So straightening out through that right leg, bending deeply through that left knee. And you can stay here if this is where you want to stay. You can just stay holding here, feeling that stretch. If you would like a little bit more, you can take that right hand, clasp that left ankle, and just turn to look up over that left shoulder. You don't have to be here though. If this doesn't feel good for you, then just come into that lunge over towards that left side and hold here, opening up through the thighs. And then gently release and start to walk the hands all the way over to that right side. So again, bending through that right knee, straightening out through that left leg. And if here's where you want to stay, where you can feel that opening and that stretch through the inner thighs, then stay here and just enjoy the stretch here. If you would like more, taking hold of that right ankle with that left hand, and then twisting through the body and taking your gaze up over that right shoulder towards that right thumb. Inhaling and exhaling, feeling that lengthening, feeling that stretch, but only coming wherever feels good for you. And then gently release. And then swiveling the feet around, so coming back to face the top side of your mat. So now your right foot's forward and your left foot's behind you. Taking both hands outside that right front foot, and then lifting up that right knee, hugging it in towards the chest, and stepping all the way back into that downward facing dog. Taking the feet together, taking the knees quite far apart, certainly wider than your hips, setting up for extended child's pose. Letting go of the toes, taking the hips back over the heels, and just sitting back in our child's pose here, and just enjoying the stretch, enjoying the release through the shoulders, through the hips, remembering you don't have to have your arms out in front of you. Your arms can be behind you, alongside your thighs, if that feels better for you. Trying to let the shoulders relax into the mat, trying to let the hips relax into the mat, keeping everything nice and easy. And one more breath. And then when you're ready, start to come all the way forward and come to lying face down on your mat. Setting up for our Salabhasana, our locust pose. So taking the arms out in front of you. And then from here, just gently moving through the locust pose, lifting up one arm, so lifting up the right arm, then lifting up that left leg. So inhaling, lifting that left leg and that right arm, and then exhaling, dropping down. Inhaling, lifting up that left arm and that right leg. Exhaling, lowering. Inhaling, right arm and left leg. Exhaling, lowering. Inhaling, left arm, right leg. Exhaling, lowering. And one more time, inhaling up through that, lifting up that right arm and that left leg. Exhaling, lowering back down. And then inhaling, lifting up that left arm and that right leg. And exhaling, lowering all the way back down onto your mats. And then taking the hands back underneath your shoulders. And then pushing yourself back into that tabletop position. Taking that right leg and crossing that right leg over the left, and then sitting back on your heels, over your heels, coming into a nice easy seat here. And I'll come this way so you guys can see me, moving into Matsyendrasana, our tailor's twist. So taking both legs out in front of you, taking that right leg and crossing that right leg over the left. And then moving through a twist here. So you can just start to come and twist, taking that left arm around that right knee and start to twist and look over that right shoulder. If that's where the twist is for you today, then stay there. If you want a little bit more, you can bend that left leg and take that left foot in underneath that right hip. And then take the hold of that right knee with your left arm and just start to come through a gentle twist, looking over that right shoulder as you gently look behind you. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. Inhaling, lifting up through the spine, finding the length. And then as you exhale, find the twist. Inhaling, finding the length. Exhaling, finding the twist. So you want to find the length in the spine before you then start to rotate the spine, just to help those discs in the back. No compression through the discs, so we're looking for that space before we take the twist. And then gently release, coming back to the center. And then we'll repeat on the other side. So taking both legs out in front of you, taking a hold of that right knee, that left knee, sorry, bending that left knee and taking that left knee over the right leg. And then starting to turn the torso over towards that left knee. And then clasping that left knee, hooking it with your right elbow, start to turn around and look over that left shoulder. So you can stay here. This is where the twist feels good for you. Or you can take that right leg and hook that right foot just underneath the left hip and then come through the twist. So again, listen to your body, listen to what feels good for you. And if it feels better to have your legs straight, then have the legs straight. It doesn't need to be bent. You still get a twist through that torso. You still get a twist all the way up through the spine. But remember, when you're twisting, whatever twist you do, remember to find that length in the spine first before you take the rotation. Just helps protect that spine, make sure there's no compression through the discs. So breathing nice and deeply, find the length, exhale, find the rotation. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center. And then coming around to lie down on your mat. Keeping those knees bent, moving through our bridge breathing. So from here, taking the feet just parallel to one another in line with the hips, bending through the knees. Taking the hands down just beside your hips. Inhaling, and as you inhale, lifting up through the hips as you come through that bridge. At the same time, lifting the arms up and over the head, taking the hips up towards the sky. Exhaling, gently release, taking the hips down and taking the hands back down. So inhaling, lifting up through the hips, taking the arms up over your head. And then exhaling, lowering through that spine, taking the hips back down and the hands back down. So in your own time, in your own breath, moving through that bridge breathing, matching the movement to the breath, coming through our gentle inversion here, taking the hips up over the heart. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, really moving with that breath. Noticing, do you have to slow down the movement? Do you have to slow down the breathing? Moving into a kind of mindful meditation here. Just really checking in. And then last time, gently lowering the hips back down onto the mat, taking your hands down beside your sides. Pulling the knees into your chest, giving yourself a nice big hug here. Coming into our wind relieving pose, our Apanasana pose. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. Just taking a nice gentle release through the back after those back bends. And then from here, keeping the knees bent, taking the knees just above your hips, taking your hands behind your head, setting up for our Yogic Bicycles. So inhaling, kicking the shoulders up off the mat, and then start to just cycle, moving the one elbow to the opposite knee, engaging through the core, breathing nice and deeply, making sure that core is engaged. activating through the core, strengthening the core. Everything comes from the core, so if we can have a nice strong core, it makes everything so much easier. And then gently release, coming all the way back, hugging the knees back in towards the chest. And then letting go of that left knee and then taking that left foot down onto the mat. And then taking a hold of that right big toe into a peace finger toe bind. So taking that right big toe, holding it with your index finger and your middle finger. And then take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, start to straighten that leg all the way up to the sky, straightening out through that right leg. And starting to feel that lengthening and that stretching all the way through that back of the leg, but only ever come to wherever feels good for you. Remembering you can keep that bend through the knee here if it's far too intense through the back of the leg. You're still going to get a stretch here, and that's where you need to be today. So listen to your body, check in. Where can you take this stretch? If you want it a little bit deeper, you can straighten out that left knee. If you want a little bit deeper still, you can start to lift up that nose and take that nose to the knee. And just hold here, feeling that opening up all the way down the back of the leg. But only holding whatever variation of the pose feels good for you. And then gently release and let go of that right knee, hug it in towards the chest, pulling the left knee in towards the chest, and we'll repeat on the left-hand side. So letting go of that right leg, taking that right foot down onto the mat, keeping a bend through that right knee. Taking a hold of that left big toe in a peace finger toe bind, and then start to straighten out through that left leg. But if you need to keep a bend through the knee, that's absolutely fine. I have a knee injury here, so I'm going to keep my left leg bent to protect the knee. So listen to your body. There should be no pain through here. There should feel a nice gentle stretch. If you do start to feel any pain, take that bend through the knee. If you want more, you can straighten out that front right leg. If you want more still, you can start to lift that nose up towards the knee and hold here just for a few moments, enjoying the stretch, enjoying the release through those hamstrings. And then lowering back down, letting go of that left leg and just letting both legs now fall out to the sides of the mat, setting up for Shavasana, our relaxation pose. So finding a nice comfortable pose, whatever feels good for you. If lying on your back doesn't feel good for you, then you can lie on your side or you can lie on your belly. Just becoming nice and relaxed, letting the legs fall out to the side of the mat, letting the arms fall out to the side of the mat. The hands can be facing the palms up towards the universe, or if you want to feel more grounded, you can take the palms and just gently rest them by your sides. So gently closing the eyes, moving into our Shavasana, the most important pose of our practice, where we seal in all the good energy that we've accumulated in the last hour. You can switch off the mind, relax the body, let go of any tension through the hips, through the shoulders, just feeling yourself sinking in towards the mat. Letting Mother Nature take away all the tension from the body. Letting go of any control over the breath. Letting the breath just return to its normal cadence. And then from here, imagining a bright blue star in the sky. And that bright blue star starts to come down towards you and rest gently in the middle of your forehead, just above your third eye. And as it reaches the forehead and taps your forehead, it reminds you to let go of all thoughts, switch off that monkey mind, and to relax. That blue star then moves down towards your right shoulder and taps your right shoulder. And as it taps your right shoulder, you can feel your right shoulder just releasing even more and sinking in towards the mat. It then taps your right elbow, your right wrist, your right thumb, your right index finger, your right middle finger, your right ring finger, and your pinky finger. And then it comes to rest in the palm of your right hand. And you can feel your whole right arm just relaxing into the mat, all the tension leaving that right arm. That blue star then makes its way back up your right arm, tapping your right wrist, your elbow, and your right shoulder, before it gently moves over towards that left shoulder and taps that left shoulder, that left elbow, the left wrist, the left thumb, the left index finger, the left middle finger, the left ring finger, and the left pinky finger, before coming to rest in the palm of that left hand. Your whole left arm is sinking into the mat. That blue star then taps your left wrist, your left elbow, and your left shoulder, before coming to rest in your heart center, just in the middle of your chest. As it sits in the chest above your heart center, it's encouraging you to let go of any negative emotions, any negative feelings you may have, and just keep hold of all the positivity in your life. It moves down to your solar plexus, reminding you of your personal power, and then taps that right hip, the right knee, the right ankle, the right big toe, and then each of your toes remaining on your right foot one by one, encouraging that whole right leg and foot to relax. Then taps your right ankle, your right knee, your right hip, before moving over to the left hip and tapping that left hip, that left knee, the left ankle, the left big toe, and then each of the toes remaining on your left foot. And your whole left leg is relaxing into the mat. The blue star then taps your left ankle, your left knee, your left hip. It comes to rest again in that solar plexus, reminding of your personal power, your own strength, your own resolve. Coming to rest in the heart center, encouraging you to open the heart. And then coming back up towards the third eye and gently tapping that third eye, switching on the intuition. Your whole body is now completely relaxed into the mat. And then from here, imagining a bright white light above your head. That bright white light's pulsing with energy from the universe. A magnificent white light. And as you breathe in that white light, and it comes down through the crown of your head and starts to make its way all the way down your spine. And then it starts to branch off each of the nerves that come off the spinal column. And all those nerves connect down through your arms and your legs, and then reach each cell of your body. And then that white light starts to fill up every cell in your body, and you can feel each cell in your body pulsing with that energy from that white light as you start to feel really energized. Breathing in that white light, filling that body completely with that white light from the tips of your fingers down to the tips of your toes. And then inhaling, taking that arms and reaching them all the way over your head, coming into a nice full body stretch. And then pulling the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a nice big hug here. Maybe gently rocking from side to side, taking a gentle massage through the spine. And then rocking over onto your side and holding in the fetal position on your side just for a moment. Letting that central nervous system reset. And then slowly, gently in your own time, coming all the way back up to seated, coming back into that nice, easy seat, sitting up nice and tall, finishing with 3 big inhales and a big exhale with a big sigh. So inhaling nice and deeply, and then sighing it all out. Inhaling again, nice and deeply, sighing it all out. One last time, inhaling. Well done, everybody. From my heart to yours, namaste. Hope you enjoyed your yoga practice this evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope to see you again soon on your mat. Namaste.